I thought you had one of the best tweets I've ever seen. And I'm going to misquote it, but it's when they did the first stimulus for this. And your tweet was something like, I guess they did have the money for healthcare. Was it for healthcare or for something else? What was the quote?
Well, in my case, it was for universal basic income.
Yes.
Because I love that stuff. But I was like, I guess they did have the money for universal basic income the whole time.
Right, and that's what we learned, which is all of these things that they don't want to do. Let's say forgive some student debt, or to end mass incarceration, whatever it is, that we always did have the money.
We always did
to take care of healthcare. We have the money to give a lot of cash to casinos for losing money over the last few months, or to
we had billions for that. Wait,
but we didn't.
Say billions? I meant trillions. Yeah.
We could have fixed schools for the country. We could have had free college, for a lot of people in this country. So sadly, where my head goes is, when you think about it, a lot of this is a scam. It's a scam. It is siphoning off money to people who don't need it. And even when the economy collapses, the richest among us, they make money in that. Even Donald Trump said he loved when the economy crashed in 2008. He made a lot of money buying things up when it was cheap.
The stock market is at all-time highs, in many respects. Like the winner-take-all economies is getting more extreme. But you're 100% right, Judd, that the work has to kick into high gear as soon as the new president's in place in 2021, and we don't have that much time. Like, we have to go huge and big to try to rejuvenate and revitalize hundreds of thousands of communities around the country, because if we fail in this, and it's one reason why you do need a somewhat unified legislative branch, like you hope the Democrats and have enough of a critical mass to get some real work done, get some real bills passed. But we have to do the work over the next number of years, or else this wave does come crashing back the other way. It's like, in a way, I feel like Americans, Donald Trump was like a giant FU to the system, just like, screw it, get the narcissist reality TV star in there, drain the swamp. I believe that Joe will win, and then we'll have a chance to do the work. And we just need everyone to actually get on board with a more active, invigorated effort to revitalize the country that emanates from the federal government. And I know there are a lot of people who aren't huge fans of the government, taking a leadership role in a lot of these things, but we have no choice. I mean, you're talking about a multi-trillion-dollar effort that's needed to do a lot of the things you just named, overhaul our totally immoral system of incarceration, invest in infrastructure and renewable energy, new schools, you name it. We should be doing it, because we're short millions and millions of jobs. And the folks who are in their houses right now figuring out how they're going to make ends meet, it's heartbreaking. We just failed. I mean, our government has been out of touch with the people for so long, and I think that's one reason why someone like Trump won, and now we have to come back from it.
Absolutely, and I think that on some level, after Obama, there were a lot of people who said, "Well, you were in for 8 years. It didn't touch me. It didn't get to me." And obviously, that administration would say, we didn't control.
There was Mitch McConnell saying, "Hey, let's obstruct everything in sight."
And so they obstructed everything. And so, one point of view is that they accomplished an enormous amount for having that type of obstruction. But it is up to the country to give the president the power by controlling the Senate and the Congress. I mean, if you want anything to happen, you have to control both to have a real sea change with the environment. I mean, here's the scariest part of the pandemic. What we're learning is that a certain percentage of the country is kind of crazy. They won't wear masks. They're not long-term thinkers. To solve the climate issue, I mean, if you can't get someone to wear a mask, how are you going to get somebody to have solar panels? How are you going to have somebody to make a choice to switch what kind of car they drive? I mean, it requires hundreds of sacrifices for everybody to save the planet. And as a country, we're not long-term thinkers. People seem to feel like, I want to be as happy as I can be today. I don't want anything to inconvenience me, and I will fight you to the death for that. But if as a country and as a world, we're not in it together, if we're not all making sacrifices, if we're not all trying to lift each other up, we definitely will not survive. I mean, when you look at the world and how they have reduced their COVID cases, and you look at our country where everyone feels like they deserve everything all the time, and we can't do it. Even today, we can't do it.
Yes.
Well, that can't do spirit is what will have our cities underwater in 50 years. And that's the saddest part. I mean, Donald Trump clearly didn't ask anything of the country. He could have gotten on TV and said, as of today, here's what I know. Every one of you, I don't care if you're in the middle of the woods and no one's around, wear a mask, and we're going to be out of this, and we're going to save a lot of lives, and we're going to get back to work. And he won't say it, and he encourages a certain kind of defiant independence, which will prevent us from solving COVID. It'll prevent us from solving the next pandemic, which we also think is coming.
It's coming, yes.
And prevent us from solving the climate crisis, which we're in the center of right now, and no one wants to talk about it.
Well, I think it's one reason why you and yours are so important, Judd, is because you're one of the preeminent storytellers of this time. And we need ways to communicate some of these ideas to folks in America who, aren't in one camp or another. And I thought your movie, King of Staten Island, actually helped make really important points that any American would understand and be excited about around sacrifice and loyalty, from Pete's family, which was somewhat biographical. A lot of it's around the fire department in Staten Island. And, if you think about, who's pro fireman, I feel like that's everybody.
Well, I think in a way, one of the reasons why I wanted the movie to come out now was because I thought this is what we're talking about, that in a way, there's a spirit to the firefighting community that is selfless. There are people, and we see them in all different businesses now. But if you just think about firefighters, they get up every day, they're going to get a call, they're going to put themselves in a dangerous situation to help you out. And they're trying to be there for the people they work with. They're trying to be in the best shape of their lives so they can save you, so they can save themselves, so they can save the people that they work with. And it's all about service, right? And I think that, the Republicans mock service. They mock the idea.
In theory, they're all about service. In theory, they're all about armed forces,
the army, and they like to talk about the cops and the army, but when you really get down to it, they're really more about power. They're not about firefighters, because firefighters are saying your life is important, and I'm going to spend my life trying to make your life better. And in a way, that's what every citizen in the country.
We're all firefighters now. At least we all need to be, because the country's on fire.
Absolutely, and so it shouldn't be America first or make America great. It shouldn't be that when people don't want to get killed by the cops that you call them Marxists. That's not what it's about. That's a signal like, oh no, they're Marxists. It's about that we all need to help each other. We all need to lift each other up. That's why it's so powerful when you see, those mothers the other night in Portland stand up to this secret police force. Well, it says everything there. Those are people, clearly, there are people relying on them, and they think it's worth putting themselves in physical danger to call out the madness and to try to stop it. And we will not survive as a species without it. We are interconnected. You could say make America great, but we have to be in communication with every country in the world to solve these problems.
Yeah. I mean, how are you going to fight the next pandemic if you're not in contact with governments of other parts of the world who are probably going to be seeing it first? Yeah,
we're quitting the WHO. We're getting out of the Paris Climate Accords. This is the moment where we should be trying to figure out how to make all of these connections work better. And that's what I hope happens with Joe Biden.
Thank you for listening in. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. If you did, please do subscribe to Yang Speaks and click on notifications so we can let you know every time we have a new episode.